Muslim Civil War Part 4. Today I'm going to speak about Jordan because when I spoke in early videos, I kinda believe that Jordan's going to become unstable and be a part of this bigger war, but I don't know. But anyway, I have done a simple graph to look at some numbers and see if Jordan is going, if you can see something about the graph. And also I've added in the other nations I spoke in the previous videos. So in this graph I have put in the countries Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Tunisia. Of course, Syria and Iraq is the country where they have failed state, civil war and so on. Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran and Egypt is considered to be the great powers in the region, or the regional powers. And of Tunisia just add in because I don't know, I wanted to have a country that you can compare Jordan to, that is slightly the same. I don't know how, I mean it's more comparable than Japan or Mexico anyway, but not maybe perfect. And in the news you always hear good thing about Tunisia. Like Tunisia is going to be democratic, Tunisia doesn't have that much corruption compared to other countries in the region, Tunisia not having, the larger population isn't radical, or and so on and so on. So I added in Tunisia to compare the other nations to Tunisia. And as you can see, Tunisia have a small population compared to other countries. And I don't know, the, the whole thing was to like find something in this graph that shows that the countries fails. And it isn't very good, I guess, but you have to start somewhere. The thing you can say about Tunisia is the graph here doesn't show anything special. The only thing you can say about Syria is in Iraq. I don't know. Some numbers doesn't seem to be right too. You should say that early on. Don't trust these numbers because some just seem wrong or very not very sure numbers. You can compare like Egypt and Tunisia, and it's not that. But Tunisia is the poorest country of all the major ones, and only Syria and Jordan is poorer. I mean, if you take per capita GDP, of course it's not very good measuring value by what you can use. I guess you can say the HDI, Human Development Index, is pretty high in Tunis. Maybe that's why Tunis get praised a lot. Majority religion and ethnic groups are both very high. I was surprised that female literacy, I don't know why I put in female literacy. I had to put in something and I thought like, well, it shows somewhat how educated the people are. And of course the male literacy in all these countries are higher, but basically trend goes to like Tunisia is lower than Turkey and so on. So low literacy or high female literacy is the same for the males, although maybe it's bigger difference between some countries and others. But I don't. That's not cool there. I'm surprised. Egypt seems to be very. I mean, it's a very large population, the largest, and it's not that rich either, but not that poor either. It's also the most. So it had the lowest GDE. Gini, I don't know the number, and that's good. You could call it Saudi Arabia. This has a really strange, because I couldn't find any number for Saudi Arabia on that part. I don't know why. Probably because a very big difference in Saudi Arabia. Not that people are, compared to other nations in the region, really poor there, just that you have some very rich people in Saudi Arabia. Because if you look at the per capita GDP, it's very high. And I'm guessing that if you take away like the 5% richest people, you get a lot lower number. But anyway. And also Saudi Arabia has the highest Human Development Index. Egypt has pretty low. Of course, Syria has the lowest, and that should be in mind that was last year in 2014, when the civil war had already started. All the other numbers, I think, is before the civil war started. I was like, and the same for Iraq, but I'm not certain. But anyway, I don't see anything in this graph that will show that Jordan is going to fall. But who knows? Maybe it should be saying, when I'm looking up this, Jordan has a really high refugee, and it's kind of hard to add up the numbers and get different numbers. Palestinians were sometimes looked at. It was very unclear if the Palestinians was the 6.7%, 6.6 million, 7 million people, if they were included or not. But it seems to be at least 2 million refugees in Jordan. I guess that's a reason why people think it's going to become unstable. But you can see it's had one thing which is a bit strange about Jordan. It's really poor. Just compare it to like Egypt, for example. It's almost, and of course, per capita income. No. Egypt has a lower Gini confidence than Jordan, so I guess the poor and the poor, a lot of poor in Jordan and big number of refugees could make it unstable. And as I said, it's a lot of refugees in Jordan. And this maybe put Jordan in slightly less light or bright future. As you can see, I mean, these numbers are very hard to find. Well, it's easy to find them, but they're hard to really know how good they are. But basically, if you take the higher estimated refugees in the higher number of estimated refugees in Jordan, you come up with a number that is more than half the population or citizens in Jordan. It feels not likely either that, if you remember, the people think that the war in Syria and Iraq, especially Syria, will continue for at least a decade or more. And then the refugee number is going to add up. And how are they going to cope with this? And also, as I said, was looking at the last picture, Jordan isn't a very rich country. It's actually one of the poorest, which I find strange, but that seems to be the truth. And I guess it seems very hard. But then I will also add that I guess this is not nothing new. It's been around for a long time, and my guess is that there are a lot of Secret Service personnel in Jordan, and the regional nations, at least that have good relations with Jordan, like Turkey and Saudi Arabia. I hope they have good relations, at least. US have definitely good relations. I think even Israel has pretty good relation with Jordan. I know not certain. They're probably trying to help them stay stable because they don't want more trouble. So that's probably a good thing. Well, see you next time. Let's hope for Jordan